This is the On the Pony Express podcast, part of the On3 network. Check out all the SMU coverage you need at ontheponyexpress.com. Now, here's your host, Billy Embody. 1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the On the Pony Express podcast. I'm Billy Embody. With me, Palmer Routh here on this Tuesday evening as SMU just wrapped up an 89-81 win over Notre Dame to keep things rolling here in ACC play, and another stretch for SMU now where they go on the road, they get another quad one opportunity ahead. But right here in Moody Coliseum, SMU kind of played with their food a little bit here with the Irish in town.
They did a little bit, but offensively it was a tale of two halves. In the first half, Boopy Miller was able to put up 18. I mean, he was just electric. He made 4 3-point shots. But then the second half, he couldn't really get many things going. So then JP really got the offense rolling. He was able to drill some clutch threes, had a sweet dunk as well, and then even a block defensively. And he was able to hit 2,000 career points tonight. So incredible accomplishment for him.
Jerron Pierre Jr. Continues to just wow, I think, when he's really feeling it. He gets involved with the crowd. He's a showman out here. And before this season, I talked about him a little bit on the side, and he is somebody that athletically SMU hasn't really had in its lineup since the Shake Milton, Ryan Manuel, Jere Foster type of players. And to see him really get going in ACC play now, very important piece for this lineup to be playing the way he is in the stretch.
Well, I think this entire offense, it's so deep. On any night, even Washington can have a night and really carry the offense. He only put up 14 tonight, but still a good showing by him. But even, Samet, and then tonight we saw kind of the introduction of the two big men lineup with Toombs getting some action alongside Samet in the second half, which helped SMU on a big run, I believe 14-point run there. So I think this offense has so many options that allows it to be so versatile. So even if you have a bad night, your entire offense is now. Boopy's not doing too well. It's not like your chances of winning are just out the door, which is so important, especially as we play some of these teams lower down in the ACC rankings. You're not going to get a big upset just because one guy has an off night. So many different people can step up and really perform. And
we are presented by, of course, Status Jet. So make sure you guys make that last-minute call to get up to Syracuse, New York for this Saturday matchup in chilly upstate there, as they can get you there safely, soundly, and in a level of luxury that you'd expect. Make sure you mention On the Pony Express and get a discount on a round-trip flight. And SMU was flying around a little bit offensively, of course. Some lulls with this team. It's interesting to watch them go through those moments where they get up 10, 11, 12, and you're thinking, all right, they're going to get rolling. Notre Dame, before this game, when you watch Micah Shrewsbury's press conference on Monday, I thought that is just a sad situation going on there with missing Marcus Burton, but also just the struggles as a whole. They came out ready, energized to go here. But SMU, they have to find their way and battle their way through some of these lulls and pick up the right pieces to put it all together and overcome those lulls.
I mean, it's great we're the best offense in the ACC, but the defense really at times can really struggle. I know Notre Dame went on a 19-2 run in the second half, and that got everyone in Moody Coliseum a little bit worried about how this game would go, potentially if it would go like last week against NC State. But ultimately, SMU was able to kind of battle back and kind of stop that. But I think defensively, the problem is on that perimeter the perimeter defense right there. Toombs doesn't have much experience playing there. He's been a big guy. His entire life has always been in the paint. But now you're forcing him to cover guys on threes. He gave up some 3-point shots. And then Notre Dame, you have to give credit where credit is due. This was an 89-81 game against an ACC team, which has been kind of the talk for the past couple weeks. This is the ACC. It's a very good basketball conference. Week in, week out, you're going to play a team who can put up a fight and who can win. We even saw that tonight. UNC lost to Miami after the big win over Duke. So you can't take a game for granted and just slack off and expect a win to end up in the column after the game. You really have to play your best game, and that's what's going to earn you a win.
And I thought some of the shots Notre Dame made, like you said, credit is due in their world as well, because some of those shots were fairly well contested. I mean, that was a team that ended up shooting, from beyond the arc. They finished 11 of 25, but man, they were shooting the absolute, skin off the ball, and just, I think at 55% in the first half. I mean, just a really incredible number there for them. And I think for SMU, you needed some of your stars to step up. They did. Boopy Miller had that in the first half. But I think Samet, really there was that moment, and you mentioned it, when Jaden Toombs got into the game with him and things kind of got going down low. I mean, Sumet was kind of directly or indirectly at times responsible for that run that they went on to kind of extend the lead at that point. And, he was grabbing rebounds and he was being physical, down low. I think, there's always going to be those plays that you see from Sumet. You can totally that you're like, okay, all right, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to have a double-double in tonight's game, I think it rounded everything out offensively pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember, this guy, he may already be 21, but this is only his second year playing in college basketball. Against Pitt, he had a great game, put up 15. You just mentioned the double-double. Like, this is a guy still very much learning and improving as a player and trying to figure out how can he use that 7-2 frame most effectively on the offensive side of the ball, but also the defensive side of the ball. And we've really seen in the past couple of weeks him really step into his body and be a helpful player on the team.
We, of course, also want to thank our friends at the Thomas Auto Group. Head up 75 to McKinney. Visit any of their 4 dealerships. Their Ford, Subaru, Volkswagen, and Mitsubishi. Wife's car needs new tires. Guess what? I called Bob Thomas Ford, and we're heading up there on Friday morning. Get a little coffee ready to go in the service center, and they're going to take care of us as well. So if you're in need of new tires, oil change, all of those things, they can take care of you there at Thomas Auto Group. Proud SMU alum there, and Brandon Thomas, who was in the building tonight for this one as well. And when despite SMU fans at various points, you're probably reaching for that bottle of Socorro in their house on the tequila side of things. This was a game that you can't take for granted in the ACC, which I don't think SMU did. I thought they played hard. I thought they were engaged. It was a little slow to start, but they really were humming offensively for most of the night. I didn't think it was something where, I like the start against Pitt. I thought that was, you're watching it unfold and you're just like, really? Is it the snow? But for SMU to come away with a win that an 8-point margin, good solid win for the net against a lowly ranked Q3 opportunity here. You move on, you get past it, and now, as Andy Enfield said in the press conference, you got to go game by game, and that next one is Syracuse on Saturday.
Yeah, going up to Syracuse, playing that JMA Dome. I mean, it's kind of an iconic venue, some of the many that SMU basketball's gotten to play in this year, being in the ACC. That's definitely going to be a challenge. We have a quad 1 game for the team. But I think it's really about, as we go into this final stretch, they've been talking about the second half of the season. So far, 2-0 in ACC play at that point. But it's about figuring out the lineups, figuring out when we're subbing guys in, especially now that Toombs is healthy and he's really knocked off the rust, which was discussed a lot. Obviously, he was injured earlier in the year. But trying to figure out when you push the right buttons, when you put in the right guys, and trying to figure that out as we go into, obviously, the game at Syracuse. But then in exactly a week, Louisville here, and then kind of that chase down into the ACC tournament, hopefully into March Madness, trying to figure out when to put in certain guys. I think that's kind of what's going to be important for Coach Enfield.
And lastly, of course, Boone Miller, too, just what he's able to do, kind of keep the pace moving and things like that. But, Andy Enfield mentioned him on the ACC coaches teleconference and kind of on the post-game of Pitt and everything. He's still just getting back. He lost some serious weight after that flu, so that can be tough to overcome in a sense, but he looked very comfortable, and that's what they expect. There's a high level of expectation for this team, and Andy Enfield doesn't really mince words as he talks about them in post-game press conferences. It's, you should have made the free throw, you should do this, or great job on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a hidden key for SMU, Corey Washington, only 14 tonight, but historically, SMU has not lost a game all year when he scores 15. He's kind of that magic guy. You don't think about him. He's not in the graphics. The fans aren't wearing his jersey, but he's the guy who can really help this team. And tonight, he didn't score it all in the first half, right? But then he was able to put together such a good second half. He ended up with 14. I mean, he's just really a guy who's really under the radar, but who I think can make a big impact as we get later in the year.
They'll need him on the road Saturday at Syracuse as SMU takes on the Orange at 1 p.m. Central Time, I believe. So little kind of early-ish, 2 p.m. Eastern time matchup there for SMU as they look to continue on their march to the NCAA tournament. Andy Enfield was kind of talked about it a little bit, kind of pressed, but metrics-wise, this team is looking good. They just avoided a bad loss tonight, which they needed to, and keep the train rolling. So for Palmer Routh, I'm Billy Embody. We appreciate you guys tuning in to this edition of the On the Pony Express After Stangs Show following SMU's 89-81 win over Notre Dame. We appreciate you guys watching, and please leave a like, rating, review, and subscribe to the pod. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time as SMU heads up to Syracuse on Saturday. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you guys later.